Hello there, friends. Welcome to episode 15 of That One Gaming Podcast. I'm Colin, otherwise known as Delicious Morsels, and here today we've got Lucas, aka Carnevil9. How you doing, Lucas?
Doing good. Got my special guest co-host, my daughter Mavis.
All right, and we've also got Neal, better known as VMK89. How you doing, Neal?
I'm doing all right. Hello, world.
The world is your oyster.
Soup.
I don't know.
Floor Wax Museum.
Anyway, over the last couple of years, the prices of retro games and the secondary market have seen unprecedented increases almost entirely across the board. As a result, the hobby of collecting and enjoying older games, something we here enjoy quite a bit ourselves, is become increasingly more difficult to get into for those that are interested. We thought we'd take some time today and give a little bit of a check-in on the state of the market as a whole and offer our thoughts, as well as using the opportunity to discuss some of the things from our personal collections that we enjoy in the process. But before we get into that, what have you guys been playing this week? Lucas, why don't you start us off?
I've been getting into Final Fantasy.
Yay! One of me.
But also not one of you because you hate the NES version, and that's the one.
I don't hate the NES version. It's just the worst version to play.
I mean, you can see how every time you say that, I gain that, like, Colin doesn't like this.
I mean,
that's just what I do. I play the Final Fantasy games that you don't really care for, like Mystic Quest and Crystal Chronicles.
Don't get me started on Crystal Chronicles.
I love Crystal Chronicles.
It's awful.
I disagree, but okay.
Well, you're entitled to your wrong opinion.
Yep.
But no, I don't hate the original NES Final Fantasy. I think I'm more scarred from my experience of trying to get it to run on two separate NESs in the same weekend and both of the NESs having issues.
That was bad.
My copy of the game works.
That is true.
Two separate NESs I purchased.
Yep. You bought two NESs, and it was my NES that proved it worked.
Yep. Yeah, that was a bad weekend.
That's very unfortunate, honestly. Like, even I was upset about that because my NES is very precious to me. It was, I believe, my 13th birthday present.
Nice.
Like, when I turned 13. Because, I mean, ties in a little bit to video game collecting. Like, my first game console was an NES, and sadly, after we got our Super Nintendo, we sold it at a garage sale. And, granted, even back then in the 90s, it wasn't in great shape. It had a lot of the blinking LED problem, so it wasn't the most reliable of NESs back then. But the one I got for my 13th birthday did have that issue, but also I was 13 and knew how to do research on the internet and found the solution to the problem and did my own 72-pin connector swap on it and got it working perfectly.
Nice.
And I remember my mom saying, I really wish we would have kept our old NES instead of selling it on that garage sale to me after we did that, because it was that easy.
Yeah. Unfortunately, both the ones that I purchased seem to have an issue with one of the display chips on the motherboard itself, not the 72-pin connector. So it would have been a little bit more involved to repair those.
Yeah,
So I just returned them.
yeah. The issue there we encountered was, I believe, an issue with the PPU IC.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the chips on the NES motherboard are not socketed, so there's no real easy just pop the old chip out, put a new one in the socket. It's
Yep.
like you have to desolder, I believe, a DIP 40 package, which for the uninitiated, it's a dual inline pin, 40 pins, so that's 20 pins on each side that you would have to desolder. And then ideally you would replace that with a socket and then socket the new chip. So
Right.
that if it goes bad in the future, then you can fix it faster.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I almost wonder if the later top loader NESs are less finicky than that. Because
I
if
don't know.
because I might just track one of those down just to have a way to play NES games and not. It kind of sucks because it's not as iconic as the original NES is, but if I can actually sit down and play these NES games without the hassle of the original NES, I might just do it.
I might be wrong on this, but I believe there's actually like a NES adapter for the Super Nintendo. I don't know if it was like a first party thing or a third party thing, but
Huh.
the CPU in the SNES is a variant of the 6502 used in the NES. I think it's
Well, I
just
mean,
a 16-bit version of it.
there's an official Nintendo manufactured Game Boy adapter for the SNES, so I guess that wouldn't surprise me if somebody found a way to get NES games running on it. Are you looking it up?
I am.
Ah, excellent.
There appears to be an emulation project, but I feel like I remember there being a almost. Oh yeah, I think that's it.
Hmm.
The Super 8, sold under the TriStar or TriStar, is a unlicensed video game peripheral released in 1995 for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
Wow, that long ago?
Designed to allow the system to run games developed for the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Interesting.
It utilizes a NES on a chip IC to duplicate the functionality of the original NES hardware and connected to the SNES's own cartridge slot. And given the picture of it, it looks like you plug it into the AV port and it gives you a cartridge slot for the NES and the Super Nintendo to pass through.
Interesting. That's not how I envisioned that functioning or looking at all.
Yeah.
I was kind of envisioning kind of like the Super Game Boy where it was like a literal cartridge adapter. Huh.
Yeah.
Must have been a little bit more complicated.
It's kind of the same idea because the Super Game Boy is just a Game Boy in a SNES cartridge, and it's
Mm.
what it the whole Game Boy player or Super Game Boy cartridge basically just gets power and passes through its display output to the Super Nintendo.
Oh, I see.
So this being a NES on a chip in this module that plugs into your cartridge port is kind of the same thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wonder what those are going for these days.
Well, we could find out on this episode of Video Game Collecting.
So, been playing anything else or basically just sticking to Final Fantasy?
Yeah, just kind of sticking to Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
But kind of an odd week. It's in the off week. for the podcast. My whole family came down with COVID, so
Yeah.
it kind of laid low for a while, and like Final Fantasy was just kind of a thing. I started it on a whim on Saturday or Sunday.
I definitely didn't have to play through the game twice. That
What do you
definitely.
mean?
No one will know that.
What do you mean? I mean, I didn't have to play through Sonic 3 and Knuckles twice, but I did it.
That's true.
That is true. That is true.
But you can prove that you did it both times.
Yeah. And I've only got one recorded playthrough of Link to the Past on Karn Evil 9, that one gaming podcast.
Is that up already?
It's unlisted, but it's in that one game's playlist, so
Gotcha.
you can find it.
Yeah. So go check that out. Get yourselves ready for when we talk that one game, The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, coming up very soon. Anyway, Neal, what have you been playing?
Mostly just Mario Kart.
Surprise! Wait, we did Mario Kart last week. Neal, you don't have to keep playing Mario Kart. It's okay.
Mario Kart is
It's okay.
very addicting.
To be fair,
very
it's
good.
just Mario Kart 8. Not playing any of the other ones.
Right.
I actually I want to say you on a stream of mine in chat told me that the subscription fee for Nintendo Online is actually perfectly reasonable.
Yeah.
And
I
I
did say
kind of
that.
conflated the fact that it's per year, kind of throwing me off with the fact that the expansion pack to the online is way too much.
Yeah.
I thought they were both more expensive than they were. $20 a year is not bad at all. So
Yeah.
I went ahead and bought that. And
Good. Now we can all play Mario Kart together.
Yeah, we can do a stream.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, no, honestly, the main thing we've noticed, like we've dabbled in online play a little bit so far, but mostly the main thing that really affects us is that annoyingly, when you don't have Nintendo Switch Online and you create a new Ghost file by winning a time trial, it'll ask you if you want to upload the Ghost data. Despite the fact that you don't have Nintendo Online, you can still click yes. It defaults to yes.
Huh.
So you have to move the mouse over. Like, that's not a big deal, but it's very annoying that it does it when you don't have Switch Online. I know it's probably to sell you it. But yeah, no, we don't have to worry about that. We can just button mash through that and we're perfectly fine.
Nice.
But yeah, our ghosts are now up online in the cloud, the internet space, cyberspace, whatever.
Cloud ghosts.
Wild ghosts.
What have you been playing, Mavis?
He's been playing some form of Nintendo 64 game, right?
Got a cool N64 controller teether from Baby Glitch, courtesy of Uncle Colin over here.
Yeah.
Oh, that was from you.
Like, totally not sponsored whatsoever at all by Baby Glitch. But, I mean, Baby Glitch, if you want to reach out, I mean, we'd be interested. We love your products. But if people listening, if you know somebody that's got a little baby or is going to soon have a baby or just like even a toddler that's still teething, look up babyglitch.com. They make these really cool, they're food grade silicone teethers based on all sorts of retro video game controllers. And they have tactile buttons and the ones that have joysticks, you can wiggle the joysticks and stuff. So they're really good for developing motor skills. I've become an uncle twice this year, basically, because Lucas had a kid beginning of the year. My brother just had a baby, so I bought them both one of these controllers, and they're really, really neat.
Yeah.
especially for the little baby gamers, to start them young, because that's the best way to do it. Start them young.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember playing Millipede on the NES on a NES Advantage controller for hours at like 2 or 3.
I got my Super Nintendo for Christmas when I was 4. I played Super Mario World with the controller upside down, sitting in my Thomas the Tank Engine little foam chair.
Yeah.
I still have pictures to prove it.
Yep. And don't you still have your copy of the Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends game for the Super Nintendo?
Yes, I do.
That's a fun game.
It's surprisingly fun for what it is.
It really is.
I did not start young gaming. I think I started with Windows XP games, or 98 technically.
There's old fossil me, but also not quite as old fossil as Colin, but still, like, as far as PC gaming goes, I started out with MS-DOS gaming, but like
Yep.
literally on an IBM 5150 PC MS-DOS gaming with like Bugs Bunny's hair-raising adventure
Huh.
and
I-
Big Bird's special delivery.
I remember having a game or two on our Windows 95 machine that we had growing up. This was like even before my brother was born, when he was, or plus when it was still really little. No, it wouldn't have been before he was born, because he was born in 95. But anyway, I don't remember specifically what those games were, but I do remember playing a lot of like Gizmos and Gadgets and Oregon Trail and stuff on the computers at school back in the day.
Oh yeah.
I played Treasure Math Storm to death.
Don't remember that one.
Humongous Entertainment games might have been my first.
Yep. Yeah, Becca played a lot of the Humongous Entertainment games. I never had any, but like we still have her original copy of Putt Putt Saves the Zoo. They actually, on a Steam sale, bought the complete Humongous Entertainment collection.
Oh jeez.
Nice.
Yeah, I've looked.
It was like 70-something games. So
Yeah.
like, this is gonna have all these nice edutainment titles too.
Yeah, I had
Nice.
Putt Putt Goes to the Moon, and the second and third Pajama Sam game.
I had this really, really fun, it was like a point and click adventure game, kind of like Monkey Island, but it was an educational game too. And I can't remember what it was called, but I played that so much. I used to get really frustrated because I wasn't smart enough for some of the puzzles.
Yeah. It was like, I think a few of like the Jumpstart education games were point and clicks like that. There's like the Learning Company Clue Finders.
Might have been something Jumpstart. That sounds familiar. I just can't think of what it was like the island of something. I'm gonna have to. It's probably the CD-ROM is probably still sitting down in my parents' basement right now. I could probably find it next time I'm there. So I don't think those things have moved in probably the better half of 20 years.
I'm gonna look at the LGR Edutainment Month playlist because I feel like there's some sort of edutainment title that takes place on an island that The Secret Island of Dr. Quandary.
That sounds familiar. That sounds really familiar because I remember Doctor being in there too. I'm gonna have to look for those next time I'm at my parents' house.
I'll send a link to the LGR review real quick.
You know, my favorite game from our very first episode of That One Gaming podcast, talked about our favorite games.
Yeah.
Incredible Machine is one of them. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, it's the Incredible Machine. I remember
Yes.
that.
Yes. That game I got very well. Not. I think I had Humongous Entertainment Games first, but I know that the Incredible Machine is the reason my mom broke down and finally bought an XP. She upgraded. The catalyst was uh, that game that she got me for Christmas and finding out that it didn't work on 98.
Ah. It was not that game, by the way, Lucas. It was a different one. But yes, Dr. Brain. Yes, Dr. Brain. That was it. Yeah, it was like the Island of Dr. Brain or something like that. See, you just shared Castle of Dr. Brain. Yeah, it was a Dr. Brain game.
Huh. I'd never heard of these.
Honestly, if it weren't for LGR, I probably wouldn't have either. Thank goodness for Clint's passion for edutainment titles. Look, edutainment games on the PC are amazing.
Yes. And then on the console, you get Mario is Missing, and Mario Teaches Typing.
And Mario's Time Machine. Well, you got Mario Teaches Typing on the PC too, which is
yeah, that's true. I mean, you gotta type on the computer.
It's like one of the first appearances of Charles Martinet voicing Mario.
Yep.
It's a weird place for it to start.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, it was when they re-released Mario Teaches Typing 1 with the upgraded 3D Mario head that's horrifying, inspired by Super Mario 64.
But anyway, speaking of PC games, I've been playing some games on a PC of sorts the last couple of weeks. Because I mentioned last episode, I think it was last episode I mentioned it, I got a Steam Deck and it came in. And I've been messing with that and playing a lot of retro games and stuff on that. I've got it's set up with a bunch of emulators and ROMs and stuff. So
yeah,
been fiddling around with that. This thing is cool. I
love
really,
that you're mad at yourself for becoming a Linux user.
Yes. I did the Linux thing where I typed a command into the console, pressed enter, and it just automatically downloaded and installed necessary files. And I'm like, that was easy. I hate stupid Linux. Why? Why am I a Linux user now? It was so easy.
It is, and it makes me so mad that some of those features aren't in Windows yet.
Yeah. But so far, I have tested games all the way up to GameCube era. Everything is run flawlessly. I mean, 3DS games run flawlessly. I haven't played around with the dual screen trick yet, but I just got a dock for it today, so I'm going to start fiddling around with the DS and 3DS dual screen stuff.
I think even more cool, though, is your Game Boy operator.
Yes. So, I also have this cool device called the Game Boy Operator, made by a company called Epilogue. And basically what it is it's this little cartridge slot that you can slot your Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games into and run it out to your PC. And then from there, you can emulate the games on your PC straight directly off the cartridge, and any save files or anything like that are automatically saved onto the cartridge as well. Or you could dump the ROM and run it locally on the computer. You could dump the saves and continue your save files from a ROM copy on the computer. And you can actually re-upload the save files back onto the cartridges later. Even if you start on a emulated copy of a ROM on the PC, you can still take that save file later and upload it onto a physical cartridge. Which, when they first announced this device last year, I was like, okay, sign me up for this. That's really cool because I have a ton of Pokemon games in my collection that I'll be talking about later. But Epilogue actually tweeted out earlier this week that the GB operator is compatible with Steam Deck. And Lucas and I, last week, Sunday night, were driving home from Detroit for an Iron Maiden concert. And we were just talking about stuff on the way home. The Steam Deck came up, the GB operator came up. And we were just kind of thinking, it's like, it'd be kind of cool if I could use the GB operator with the Steam Deck directly. So that way I don't have to go through my computer when I want to upload save files back onto cartridges later. Come to find out, I think it was Thursday this week, Epilogue tweets out a picture of them with it hooked up to the Steam Deck. It's like, yeah, this works, guys. And I was like, oh, cool. So yeah, I tested it out yesterday. I dumped my copy of Final Fantasy Dawn of Souls for the Game Boy Advance directly onto my Steam Deck, played it. It works flawlessly. It's awesome. The Steam Deck is really cool. It's such a cool piece of hardware.
Epilogue is working on a SNES operator to do presumably similar things to the Game Boy operator with the Super Nintendo. So it'll be really cool down the road to see you using that like a SNES version of the Sega Nomad.
Yeah,
just like carrying around your copy of Earthbound strapped to the back of it.
Yep. Yeah, I was actually just joking around thinking to myself, it's like I could just put like some double stick tape on the GB operator and just stick it to the back of the Steam Deck. And now the Steam Deck is a Game Boy.
Yeah.
But as far as like the conversation online goes regarding the Steam Deck being the Switch killer, it's like I don't think that. There are still two different devices with both of them have their own ups and downs and stuff. For instance, the Nintendo Switch is just you pick it up, press play, and it plays, and there is an element of setup still that you had to go through with the Steam Deck before you actually get to that point, especially if you're talking about emulating games and not just running stuff natively off your Steam library. But by and large, I'm glad I sprung for this thing for sure.
Yeah, it's really cool and I want one, but I also just bought a new laptop, so I can't really justify it right now.
But but the good news is when you do finally get to a point where you're like, hey, I want to buy a Steam Deck. I have the money right here to buy a Steam Deck. You can go on Steam right now and order a Steam Deck. Because the reservation period is done. So that's cool.
Yeah. In the meantime, though, time for some nerd stuff. I'm running 3 OSs on that laptop that I just got, one of which is SteamOS Hollow ISO, which is like a community-built version of SteamOS for the Steam Deck, kind of sort of reverse engineered from the recovery image as just like a regular OS install. And I'm also running Debian Bullseye in Windows 10, but so like I can sort of get the Steam Deck experience.
That poor laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sure went through hell and back to get that set up that way, but that's a story for another time.
Yeah. But like as for like specific games that I have been playing on the Steam Deck, I picked up my playthrough of Xenogears again because I was really looking forward to playing that in a portable form factor, as well as having the option to connect it to my TV. So I've been kind of back and forth on that, just playing it in bed and stuff recently. That game is really good. I think Xenogears is probably the hardcore Gundam RPG that we will never get. And I would argue that the writing can be just as dark as Gundam writing at some times. So
Maybe.
it's really good. It's
I
really
forget.
good.
Have you seen Victory Gundam yet?
I have not, but I know its reputation, and Xenogears goes that dark at times.
Wow. I might have to check out Xenogears then.
It's crazy. I think I've got 30 something hours into the playthrough now. I feel like I'm maybe at most I'm halfway through it.
Is that the one you were
But
streaming on Discord at one point?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the one with like and then like the combat is kind of almost like fighting game inspired because it's all like input based as opposed to being menu based. I mean, there's still a little bit of menus for using like special skills and stuff, but by and large, all of your main combat attacks are done by various button combinations of triangle, square, and X buttons. And that I really enjoy that. And the more you use specific techniques, you unlock more powerful versions of those combos called death blows. And then you're like doing like you're going from doing 25, 30 damage per an attack to like 7, 8, 900 damage per an attack with these death blow combos. And it's really cool. And I've also been playing Resident Evil 2 Remake on the Steam Deck through my Steam library. So this is a native PC game running on the Steam Deck as opposed to something being emulated. That game is absolutely terrifying, but it runs flawlessly on Steam Deck. Absolutely flawlessly on the Steam Deck. I'm running it in 40 hertz mode, I think, right now. So it locks the frame rate at 40 FPS, and it's just run great. It looks good. All I did for graphic settings was click recommended and just roll with it. Looks fine on the Steam Deck display.
I gotta know. Have you been jump scared into dropping your Steam Deck on your face yet?
Not yet, but close. There's been a couple times, like I was in one of the first sections with the lickers in the police station, and I decided I'm not gonna fight them if I can avoid it, because I actually restarted from my previous playthrough, because my previous playthrough I was like, I'm gonna shoot everything, and I didn't have any ammo, and I got basically locked in a very bad situation in that game. So I started over. I've been kind of trying to conserve my ammo a little bit more this time. Now I have an abundance of ammo, go figure. But I ran past this liquor and into another room where it could not follow me. And after I was done with that room, I went to leave and I could hear it sitting outside the door, just waiting for me. So as soon as I walked out the door, it's like, wham! It just slaps me with its freaking tongue. I'm like, come on. It's terrifying.
I am the liquor.
God, the lickers are the most terrifying thing in this game that I've come up to so far. And I'm not even technically out of the police station yet. I'm in the garage currently. Is where I left off the last time I played.
I guess your party's canceled.
Oh man, there was one point where I had to fight through 3 lickers back to back to back in the same room. That was just luckily I found the grenade launcher this time, so I was just like unloading on these things. It's like watching them burn. It's like, get out of here. I don't want to deal with this.
You downed
I don't got time for you zombie lickatongues over here. Leave me alone.
You downed all the liquor in the place.
Yeah, it's like they
got wasted.
Really, yeah, I also made the mistake because like most of the time I'm playing this game, I'm playing it in the dark, like right before bed, which is probably not the best thing to be doing.
No, it's not.
But also at the same time, it's October, and it's the perfect time to play scary games in the dark. But anyway, enough about what we've been playing and our other random shenanigans.
Yep.
Should we hop into our discussion of game collecting?
Well, I think so.
Well, first, I guess kind of what I wanted to do with this episode, in addition to kind of just looking at what the market looks like right now, but also just kind of talk about some of the stuff that we ourselves are kind of proud of, in particular with our collections. Just a couple things. I don't think I want to format this kind of like a a 3-2-1 type thing like they usually do, but just more freeform. It's like,
Yeah.
in particular, like what I really wanted to talk about when I thought of this episode was the fact that I went last summer on a shopping spree for all the Pokemon games that I used to own as a kid and the ones that I never got a chance to own growing up. They weren't cheap.
Yeah.
That was when I first noticed that this market was really, really, really like getting out of hand. Was trying to buy copies of Pokemon Emerald and Pokemon Platinum and
I
Pokemon
was
Soul Silver.
on platinum purchase. It was not pretty.
It was not cheap. I spent $130 on that copy of Platinum.
Yep.
Woof.
Getting a complete box copy of Soul Silver, including the large outer cardboard box. That set me back $220.
Yikes.
That also marked the final time I, quote, took one for the team as far as Pokemon games went. Because back when Heart Gold Soul Silver came out, I knew Silver was going to be the most popular one because, I mean, Silver has always been more popular than Gold, at least in my circle. So I knew all of my friends were going to be buying Soul Silver. So I was like, well, guess I'll just be the guy that gets Gold so that way we can help each other with our Pokedexes and stuff. Even though I really wanted Soul Silver.
Yep.
Come to find out, it's like I have never regretted the purchase of a game more.
Yeah.
Not that I hated Heart Gold. Like, it's just I've always, ever since I was a kid, I mentioned it in our Pokemon Gold and Silver episode, which you can go back and listen to. That was episode 12 if you want to hear our thoughts on the original Pokemon Gold and Silver.
Yeah.
But I mentioned in that episode that one of the reasons I always kind of favored Silver over Gold was in Gold version, I always loved Lugia ever since it was first shown off. Like, I love the design, the Pokemon's cool, the cry's cool.
Shout out
But by
to
the time you...
1000.
Yes. But by the time that you get Lugia in Gold version, it's at level 70 and it's out-leveled its signature move, Aeroblast. And trying to reteach Pokemon past moves in the early games was either impossible or very, very difficult to do. It required a lot of legwork to accomplish.
The legwork in this case was clearing the Elite Four in Pokemon Stadium 2 in a single sitting without, single sitting, no losses, just clear the whole thing. And then you get to relearn one move.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like... So, like I said, Aeroblast is Lugia's signature move. It's one of the best moves it learns. And because I couldn't have it, know that move whenever I caught it in Gold version, I just automatically just didn't care for Gold version as much as Silver. Even though some of the exclusive Pokemon in Gold I prefer over the ones in Silver.
Yeah, Pokemon Gold has better bugs.
Yeah. Pokemon Gold gets the Spinarak line, which I prefer to Lediba by far.
As someone who played a exclusively bug Pokemon playthrough of Heart Gold is the better version for bugs.
Yeah. But also, I mean, I went back and I bought red version, blue version. I even bought a bootleg copy of a fan translation of the original Pokemon Green just because it showed up on eBay one day and it was like, oh, it's only $25. Why not? I think the reason I bought it actually was because I saw RetroGameCases.com had a case for it already. So I was like, oh, well, how much is one of these? Oh, $25? Oh, okay. So I just bought one
Yeah.
just to have it. I mean, I don't always go for bootlegs, but if it's something that never really released like locally, then I'm fine with it. Like I'm gonna be there's a bootleg copy of Mother 3 for the Game Boy Advance with the translation already pre-installed on it and everything that I've got my eyes on that I'm gonna be purchasing at some point.
Yeah.
Um
Shout outs to Retro Game Cases, our third not sponsored of this.
Yes. If you've got retro games that are in need of cases, retrogamecases.com is probably got what you're looking for. They do all sorts of styles of cases from NES all the way up to PlayStation, Xbox, and GameCube, stuff like that. I really liked their PlayStation, like their PS1 cases, but they're designed as PS2 DVD style cases. So they fit it. I got a lot of my Final Fantasy games from the PlayStation in those style cases, so that way they fit in with the larger DVD cases from the later generations of Final Fantasy games. High quality printing, high quality cases, and really good prices. And we're not sponsored. I just really
Love the service.
it's just love the product. Fast shipping, great customer service, and they'll even entertain requests as well. So if you want something that they don't have on their site, you can shoot them an email and they might actually print it for you. I've had them do that for me on a case in the past because I needed a reproduction case for a copy of Pokemon White that I bought last year, and they were like, "Yeah." I sent them the high resolution scan, and they printed it out for me with my order. So really, really cool people there. Can't recommend that enough. But
should see how ambitious they are and try and get retro game cases made up for my RCA Studio 2 games.
Oh, that would be interesting. You'd have to let me know how that goes. But yeah, even like, God, Gem 5 especially is super expensive now. Black and white costs me about $70 a pop.
Gross.
Black 2, white 2, I paid $120 for white 2. I have not bought a copy of Black 2 yet, because what I did when I was rebuilding my collection last year is I wasn't trying to shoot for completion because I knew that was very, very bad, because it was already bad just spending these prices as it was, but I really wanted to play all these games again and own them again, because I wanted to be able to transfer stuff from every generation into my Pokemon Home account. So, I'll probably buy Black 2 at some point if things kind of take a dip in the market and it gets reasonable. But like everything that I don't have in my collection right now, I'm fine with not owning. Unless I come across it for a decent price, then I'll pick it up. Like, I wasn't planning on buying black version because I already had white version, but I came across it complete in box at a decent price, so I was like, well, okay, it's there, I'll buy it. So,
like, 3-figure price tags are very prohibitive for game collecting.
Yeah. But yeah, like, all of this, like, kind of started and took off to where it's at now within the last year. Like, this is a recent thing where this market's kind of like gotten really, really crazy. Like, if you look at price charts for all of these consoles, you see that there's like a steady rise over time, which is to be expected as games age. They become a little bit more valuable, especially in the eyes of collectors. And all of a sudden, January 2021 hits, and everything across the board skyrockets. It's just absolutely nuts.
Yeah. Those pricing graphs you shared with us earlier before the start was like absurd.
Yeah, it's really weird and really unfortunate, especially for younger people that might be wanting to kind of dip their toes into retro gaming and stuff like that. And then they look and they see that popular games like Mario Kart 64 is still a $50 cartridge. Like, it's just wild.
Yeah.
And
And
all of this is in the last year, 2 years. And yeah, you just shared in the Discord, thanks for bringing that up. Like that, a lot of it is also because of the rise of graded games, specifically by a company called Wata, who is notorious for like insanely high prices on graded games, even like really common games. And then
what Wata Games
happens.
is doing with heritage auctions is basically insider trading.
Yeah, I
And
just happen to be looking up. I have a copy of Need for Speed Underground for the GameCube in my hands, and it's running about $5 to $20, except for this one that is an 8.5 on Wata for 500.
yeah.
For
the
Need
big
for Speed
issue with Wata
Underground.
Games is that they are like partnering but not disclosing the fact that they are partnered with heritage auctions, and in doing so are greatly inflating the prices of sealed games graded by Wata Games,
Mm-hmm.
which is not great because it's creating a huge speculative bubble of like game collecting and making the game collecting scene awful.
Because I think I mentioned at the front of the episode that like we do like collecting games here, but none of us are like speculative collectors where we're just buying stuff up just for it to sit on a shelf. We buy the games that we enjoy and add them to our collection of games that we enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do not treat my game collection like the stock market.
Yes.
If I'm getting
like
a game,
we should be very clear with that. Like our view and take on collecting is not from one of speculation or anything like that. We do truly appreciate everything that we pick up for our collections.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. Is it unfortunate that actually some of these games are very rare games and are very expensive as a result of it? Yes. But
Yeah.
it's not because they're expensive games, because there's like companies like Wata Games rating these games and then turning around and buying them back through heritage auctions and creating this big speculative bubble. Copies of Mega Man X3 for the Super Nintendo are actually just like $200+ games, even without Wata grading, just as a loose cartridge.
Yeah, it's really strange, actually, now that you mentioned something like Mega Man X3. I think the top end, like games at the top end, like Chrono Trigger, Earthbound, Mega Man X3, I don't think those have seen much movement comparatively. It's everything that's kind of been at the middle to middle low of the market has just kind of had this huge jolt in their pricing over the last year.
Yeah.
Because I bought, for my birthday last year, I bought myself a copy of Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo. And
Happy birthday last year.
I paid $200 for it. It's been hovering around that price for a lot longer than a year.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I also remember a point in time when it was just a $50 game. And I was like, well,
yeah,
I'll buy it later. It's only $50. I can buy that later. And then it was a $70 game. And I was like, oh, I'll just buy it later. It's $70. And then it was a $90 game. And then it was a $100 game. And it's like, oh.
It's like that with
finally,
Earthbound.
I was just like,
never pulling the trigger on the copy of it. It's like,
mm-hmm.
I remember seeing that game in like the low hundreds, and now it's in the $300 territory.
Yep. Yeah, for my birthday this year, I bought myself a copy of Earthbound. Sticker price was $330.
Oof.
I paid $100 out of pocket though, because it was at a local game store that
Yes.
also runs Magic the Gathering products as well. So I brought in a pile of Magic the Gathering cards that had some value to them that I wasn't playing with,
We love our
and
local game store.
I used that trade credit to kind of soften the blow because I wasn't paying $330 for a game, even if it's Earthbound. But $100, I can swing it for Earthbound.
Yeah.
I swung 200 for Chrono Trigger. I mean,
Yeah.
but not everybody is in that place of privilege to be able to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's
Not
really,
everyone's.
yeah.
Not everyone's fiance turned wife turned mother of the child sitting on my lap right now has $80 to drop on a copy of Mega Man X2 back in the day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But one thing I do want to kind of go back to these charts on and point to is specifically the Nintendo 64 over the last couple of months has actually seen a huge drop off in their average pricing.
Yeah. And even their median, you can even see the same drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was going up and up and up and up and up, and then all of a sudden over the last several months just died for the Nintendo 64 specifically. The Super Nintendo is also starting to trend downward a little bit, so is the NES. But things like the Game Boy Advance are still trending upward. Original PlayStation is kind of plateauing a little bit. PlayStation 2 is still trending upward. PlayStation 3 is even starting to trend upward, which, I mean, yeah, that's still pretty recent. And a lot of their price charts kind of reflects that because it's so recent that you've, for the longest time, seen a lot of decline, and now they're starting to climb back up again.
Yeah.
But I really hope that what's happening with these Nintendo consoles, the GameCube looks like it's flattening out at least. So I hope that's
Thank
true.
God.
I hope GameCube prices are actually leveling out, and hopefully maybe they'll start to kind of dip a little bit after that. But
Yeah.
I hope we're starting to see with the NES, Super Nintendo, and the Nintendo 64 in particular, I hope that's something that's going to kind of continue where they start to drop down a little bit again and make some of these older games a little bit more accessible again. Because like I said, I paid $200 for that copy of Chrono Trigger. If it crashes down to $50 tomorrow, I don't care, because then I'm happy for the people that can then go and afford it at $50 that couldn't afford it at $200 like I could last year.
Yeah.
I am all for these prices crashing, so
yeah. We're kind of that way about the reserve list because the three of us are all Magic players in the same Magic the Gathering group, and we're all universally against the reserve list and how it's just kind of jacked up the price of cards that don't really deserve that price.
Yep, again, thanks to things like the speculative market.
Yep. Yeah. It's honestly a bit disturbing that people would see a trading card game as a stock market that they could buy into instead of, I don't know, maybe trying to just participate in the existing stock market.
Yeah, it's like, especially now, it's easier than ever to purchase stocks. Like, you don't even need to, like, hire somebody to do it now. You can just download Robinhood and buy stocks now. Like, if you want to play the stock game, buy stocks. Like, stay out of our hobbies. Let us enjoy our hobbies.
Yeah, go invest in cryptocurrency and the actual stock market and not, like, trading cards and video games.
Yeah.
Like, just because something is collectible does not mean that it needs to be a, like, highly valued traded commodity.
Yeah. Video games, I don't get the point of, like, rating them and having them sealed. just because, like, I guess you're looking at the art on the cover, but like,
Yeah.
you
And I mean,
could,
I can kind of understand that more with like trading card games like Magic the
Right.
Gathering, because like grading and like valuing of trading cards has been a thing long before trading card games were, because the like baseball cards, football cards, sports
Right.
collectible cards, but like
right. But that's not the
this
point
is
of them. Like trading cards, sports cards are for collecting, and that's about it. Like,
their
the-
sole purpose is collecting, whereas
Right.
like in a trading card game, it's like these are pieces of a game that you're trading.
right. And with video games, it's like they're not even collectibles exactly. They're
These are pieces of a game console that you're trading. Like
yeah, right.
you need these games in order to get any sort of value out of the console. So
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, but another thing that I think you guys will probably agree that why we love physical games and stuff so much is just for the sake of preservation of the games.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
yeah,
Because as things go ever more increasingly digital, digital exclusive games could just all of a sudden become unavailable one day at the drop of
Yep.
a hat due to things like licensing conflicts or just
Yep.
publishers deciding to yank them without a moment's notice. And
Yep.
it
Yeah.
has happened before. It will happen again. So for us,
Literal-
we just like having...
literally just this week, Google canceled their Stadia game streaming service just like that.
Yep.
Yep.
Were
Like
there any exclusives on that?
There were a couple.
Oh, jeez.
and there were
But like there
plenty
were
of-
developers that were like neck deep into making games specifically for Stadia that found out about Stadia shutdown through the news instead of from Google.
Yeah.
Like, and I understand, yeah, like this is a game streaming service. It's a little bit different from you downloading a game onto your system, kind of digital gaming. But at the same time, a lot of companies are wanting to move to like a cloud streaming type service. Microsoft is offering a cloud option now with their Game Pass, for instance.
Yeah.
There was someone with over 6,000 hours logged in Red Dead Redemption 2 that now is just completely out of a game because Stadia decided to shut down.
Yep.
So, like, sure, they could have gotten the game on a platform that isn't just going to get the plug pulled on it, like a Google service. But still, like, 6,000 hours in a game is nothing to sneeze at. That's more hours than what I've put into Phantasy Star Online since 2003. Like,
yeah,
this person was very clearly dedicated to playing the game on the platform, and now the platform's gone, so he's just kind of SOL.
Yep.
right. But on the subject of preservation and why I brought it up, this is actually a really cool story that broke this past week. I got an article here from Nintendo Life, and the title is 2 unreleased NES games surface on eBay and they will sell for thousands. And basically what happened is...
I kind of hinted towards this because one of those prototypes is WATA graded, and that's awful.
Yeah. Well, the story kind of came up by a guy that goes by the name Frank Cifaldi. He works with the Video Game History Foundation, and he tweeted out these pictures of these 2 games saying that, attention video game preservation fans with money to spare, there are currently 2 unreleased, one-of-a-kind, never digitized games for the original NES on eBay right now. It's literally never happened before. Our resources are stretched thin and we could use help. So he's kind of trying to raise funds so that way the Video Game History Foundation could actually be the ones to purchase these games so that way they could dump them and have them preserved in that way.
Yep. And the unfortunate thing is that I read into this Twitter thread a little bit, and like he's done work with Wata Games and actually did the ROM dump of one of those games, but wasn't allowed to like publish it online because of, I guess, some sort of policy that said like the ROM dump of this game belongs to the person that owns said prototype, and
Huh.
they weren't interested in releasing the ROM of that prototype. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Oh, one of them is...
It's a really feels bad moment there. Like,
yeah, kind of. Like one of these games is actually this game, it was released in Japan, never actually made it to the US, but it's got like full box art and everything. It's called Battlefields of Napoleon, and like I guess it was kind of like a I think it was a real-time strategy game. Yeah, it was a real-time strategy game for the NES. And then the second one is even more interesting because it was a prototype of a game developed by Rare. Yes, that Rare, for
yep,
the Power Glove accessory for the NES.
it is a rare game indeed.
Yes, it is. So it would be really cool to see these actually get into the hands of someone that will respectfully archive them and not just stick them in a vault with a bunch of other things to just sit there and be trinkets in a collection and never really be preserved outside of that. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? I don't know.
For the sake of preservation, these ROMs need to be released. Like,
Yeah, and I
I'm
mean,
sorry,
like,
but I don't care about your value in your personal collection. Like, for the sake of software preservation, release a dumped ROM image of these cartridges.
yeah. And like this, the Battlefields and Napoleon game, I mean, that's a complete game.
Yeah,
That's all set to go. It just never fully like crossed the finish line to get a North American release back in the day. But we have companies like Limited Run Games that go back and they get these things running on modern hardware and release them with special new physical releases on modern consoles. Sometimes they even release them on retro consoles. Like they do NES and Super NES games all the time, it seems. Like new NES and Super NES games, which is pretty cool.
this is why Near of the SNES development fame is like a personal hero of mine. Rest in peace. Like for going out of their way and like purchasing and dumping like verified good ROM images, scanning all of the game manuals and box art of every Super Nintendo game from the North American, European, and Japanese regions.
Yeah.
Like, you can collect all you want, in my opinion, as long as you're willing to contribute to the preservation of this media.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I
And
won't
like,
fault you for wanting to keep a one-of-a-kind prototype game cartridge to yourself. That's a cool flex.
yeah.
Dump the ROM image and let us play with it, please.
Yeah. Like, I'm not saying like Limited Run Games would ever release this Battlefields and Napoleon or anything like that, but just like it's more important that the opportunity is there than to just have it be hoarded away in a vault forever and never actually have that archived in a meaningful way to preserve it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had a feeling that this conversation might not run as long as our usual ones. So I came up with a game.
Oh boy.
I came up with a game kind of in the spirit of collecting and also just kind of to make us all sad.
A gaming game.
Yes.
Sad game.
So, I am presenting to you the game. The title of the game is The Circus of Value.
Okay.
So,
Satisfy all of your cravings at the Circus of Value.
yeah, I knew you'd get it. So, how the game works. There are going to be 5 rounds, each consisting of 3 retro games from specific categories. So, basically, what you are going to do, and no cheating and looking up these prices. I can hear you typing on your keyboards. That does come through on the noise cancellation, despite the noise cancellation. So, don't even try.
If I mute my microphone.
Don't cheat. It ruins the game.
Yeah.
Lucas is just like, oh, Mavis is making noise again. I'm just gonna mute real quick.
Yep.
All right, so 5 rounds, each consisting of 3 games. You are going to put them in order from most expensive to least expensive based on their complete inbox prices.
This will be interesting. I don't know complete inbox prices of my valuable games.
Yes, and it is worth mentioning the complete inbox pricing does not necessarily always line up with the loose pricing.
Yeah.
So, are you ready to begin?
Round 1. Fight.
So our first round in the Circus of Value. I decided to just do Mario Kart games for this one because we did Mario Kart last week and it's fresh on the mind. So your choices are Super Mario Kart, Mario Kart 64, and Mario Kart Double Dash. Begin.
Say that one more time. I'm gonna write it down.
Okay. Super Mario Kart, Mario Kart 64, and Mario Kart Double Dash.
Yep.
And you want to go by complete inbox pricing. And then after each section and stuff, I'll tell you all the prices and stuff, how they line up. I'll tell you both the loose and the complete inbox pricing, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about with the prices not reflecting each other. I hear a keyboard.
He's Discord
Yeah,
messaging it.
type in my response on Discord for you.
Well, you guys can chat it out. I mean, it's a podcast. Okay. Chat it out. Discuss it.
Yeah,
I think.
Oh, are we working together?
Yeah, this can be. Yeah. This will be a group effort for you guys. I was originally, when I thought of it, I was like, I was gonna have it be like guess like between 2 games which one is most expensive, and then whoever gets it the guess first kind of wins. But then as I was kind of going through, I decided instead it'd be more fun to have another game in there and then just kind of pick and choose, like you guys discuss which ones are like what order they are as far as prices go. Sorry, I probably could have been more clear on that.
Well, for starters, I actually think that Double Dash, despite being a GameCube game and having the stupid sort of value retention that GameCube games have, is probably going to be worth the least.
Why?
I think because of the DVD keep case style packaging, it's easier to have a complete in-box copy of Double Dash.
That's true.
That's kind of the way that Sega Genesis game collecting works, from what I remember,
Right.
because of the hard plastic keep case for the game cartridge.
Right.
It's easy to just keep the whole thing.
Interesting.
Whereas like Mario Kart 64 and Mario Kart or Super Mario Kart, like those just have cardboard boxes with a manual in them. So
right. I don't know if we said this, but Super Mario Kart 64 and Double Dash is what Lucas put out.
Yeah. I do think Super Mario Kart probably is more valuable than 64 because of its age, mainly.
Yes, I would agree with that. Yeah, I was going to do Double Dash at top and then Super and then 64. So, but I was not thinking about the case. Hmm.
Yeah. Like, just because the DVD keep case for the GameCube games has like a dedicated insert for the menu and advertisement stuff,
Right.
I believe the GameCube game's probably going to be lower for complete in-box.
Right. For me, I was thinking Double Dash. For one thing, Double Dash, when I bought it back in, 2011? Something around there, it was an actual $60 GameCube game back when a lot of GameCube games, even the good ones, were really cheap.
Yeah.
So, like,
It's
Double
sad to
Dash
say
is,
that $60 for Double Dash in 2011 was cheap.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
also,
Yeah,
like,
that's pretty whack.
in preparation for last week's episode, we do have the spoiler of Colin bought a copy of Mario Kart 64 for $50 for a loose
true.
cartridge.
Loose. Yeah.
Okay. Huh. I think, Lucas, you're on point then. I'm going to agree with you.
Okay. So
What's the damage, boss?
so you guys said in order of most to least expensive, you said Super, then 64, then Double Dash.
Yep.
That's what I'm going with.
You are correct.
Yay!
I hate it.
God.
So,
I just bumped my mic.
Super Mario Kart Complete in Box is the most expensive at $170.50 average.
Holy crap.
Second is Mario Kart 64 at $101.88 complete in box.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I think you were pretty bang on with the Double Dash reasoning because that is still only $64.85 complete in box. Which
Right.
Wow.
I say only comparatively to the other ones, not that is not a lot of money
Thanks,
for
I
a game
hate
that
it.
old.
The
But-
other thing that's interesting about this, though, is that Double Dash, like, is much harder to get a copy or
But-
like,
Yeah.
a digital copy.
Here's, if you go by the loose pricing,
Yes.
it completely flips over.
Oh,
Okay.
Double
I-
Dash is the most expensive at $49.99 loose.
Mm-hmm.
Mario Kart 64 is $41.11, so I actually overpaid by a little bit, but it was like $9, whatever. This is average prices too.
Right.
And Super Mario Kart is about $29.57 loose. So, yeah. Ready for round 2?
Unfortunately.
So, the next 4 rounds are going to be sticking to a specific console, but they're all going to have a specific theme within that console.
Interesting.
So, this one, I picked 3 side-scrolling type games for the Super Nintendo.
Oh dear.
So your choices.
I'm gonna hate this.
Your choices are Mega Man X2, Kirby's Dream Land 3, and Adventures of Batman and Robin.
I mean, I know what the loose prices of Kirby's Dream Land 3 and Mega Man X2 are, and I don't think Batman beats that.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
God, I hate you. This is awful. Those 2 games are almost $500 together as loose cartridges. Why are you trying to make me think of completed box prices?
Oh,
because
no.
the loose price is the one that we default to.
I think I'm going to go probably KDL 3 is the most expensive, X2 is the second, and then Batman and Robin is the third. Because knowing what I know about the history of Kirby's Dream Land 3 is that it was also the last first-party Nintendo game for the Super Nintendo. So, as rare as the limited production of Mega Man X2 with the CX4 chip is, I think Kirby's Dream Land 3 is a more rare game.
Okay. I'll default to what Lucas says.
Okay, well, you are correct once again.
Yeah.
Nice.
2 for
So,
I unfortunately know my stuff.
2.
are you ready to hear those complete in box prices though?
No, but yes.
Kirby's Dream Land 3 comes in at $612.51 complete in box.
Oh my god.
Mega Man X2, $553.81 complete in box.
Yep. I mean, outside of like the re-releases of the Mega Man X collection games, like there is no other release of Mega Man X2.
Yeah.
It's not like Mega Man X3 where there was also a PlayStation and Sega Saturn version. So
Right.
that checks out.
Adventures of Batman and Robin, $488.73 complete in box.
Jeez.
Oh.
Was that a good game?
Apparently. It was based on the animated series from the 90s, so it had that
Yeah.
going for it.
I mean, that doesn't give it any... That doesn't tell me anything about
Well,
it, whether or not it's a good game.
Well, wait until we get to the loose prices.
I mean, Kirby's Dream Land 3 is a worse Kirby game than Kirby Superstar, but here we are.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Loose prices. Kirby's Dream Land 3 is still on top at $164.15 average.
Thanks, I hate it.
But Adventures of Batman and Robin takes second place at $149.88 for the loose cartridge.
Really?
Mega Man X2 just a little bit behind at $141.80.
As mentioned previously, my fiance at the time, who is now my wife, who is also the mother of our co-host for this episode, even though she's taking a nap, bought me that game at back when it was still around $80.
Now almost double that.
Yep.
All right, time for round 3. This time we're gonna go on to the PlayStation 1. Lucas, you're gonna like this one because we're talking about fighting games.
Fighting games.
We're talking about fighting games.
I love talking about fighting games.
All right, so your choices are Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, and Guilty Gear. The original Guilty Gear.
Oh no, I hate this. I don't own any of those, but I want to own all of those.
Sorry, can you say those one more time? I was
Yes,
looking up
all right.
what Batman and Robin was.
Okay. Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, and Guilty Gear.
I feel like Guilty Gear might be more expensive just because an Arc System Works fighter is probably a little less mainstream than a Capcom fighter, especially one with as much mainstream grab as the Marvel vs. Capcom series.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Because X-Men vs. Street Fighter is the precursor to Marvel vs. Capcom.
Right.
But I feel like X-Men versus Street Fighter is maybe a little more obscure though, because
It's Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter.
Oh,
well,
It is different from X-Men versus Street Fighter.
okay. X-Men versus Street Fighter was the first one. My bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I probably could have put that one on here instead of Guilty Gear and just made it like Marvel themed fighting games.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna put Marvel vs. Capcom 1 at the bottom, then Guilty Gear, then Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter.
Interesting. Okay, Neal, what do you say?
same, but Guilty Gear on top instead of in second.
Okay.
Okay, so which one do you put in second?
Um,
Marvel superheroes.
yeah.
Okay. Neal is right.
Oh dang!
Ah, wow.
I don't know.
All right.
Thanks,
Yeah.
I hate it.
But the top and second game are very, very close. There's less than $1 between them. So
I guess that's all right.
Guilty Gear is at $118.27 complete in box.
Damn it.
Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter is $117.91 complete in box. And Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes is $110.17 complete in box.
Jeez.
Disgusting.
Yeah. And
I was
the
not
unfortunate
I was not expecting any of those to be like triple digit value.
yeah.
Like,
And the
that's
unfortunate thing about everything from the disc era of games is like, yeah, especially the PlayStation era ones, because a lot of times the manual was also the front cover.
yeah.
Like,
Yes.
a lot of these games, you want them in complete in box because just getting them with the disc is like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's not like just getting a loose cartridge.
It's like I
Right.
was saying with Mario Kart Double Dash. It's like once you start getting to media that's like the case also holds the manual for you, it's like it doesn't make sense to not get complete in box.
Right.
Mhm. So the loose
But
prices, things get a little bit weird.
understandable.
So Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter is number one at $77.75 loose.
Yikes.
Followed by Marvel vs. Capcom for $70 loose. And then Guilty Gear is in last place at $55.50 loose.
Huh.
A
Weird.
little bit of a flip flop there. Like
Yeah.
things just completely rearranged.
Like this
Oh,
is very
hey.
upsetting to me because those are all very good fighting games that I would love to
Yeah.
have in my collection.
Yeah.
But three-figure sum says no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at least I could get Guilty Gear X for free-ish. It cost me a burnt CD, but my Dreamcast can play it because the Dreamcast is bad.
Yep. All right, moving on to the PlayStation 2. The theme this time is my favorite genre, RPGs.
Jeez. Woo.
Literally.
All right, so your choices are, I mean, it wouldn't be me if I didn't have Xenosaga 3 in here.
Oh god.
And then Suikoden 5 and Dot Hack Quarantine.
Oh gosh. I've just recently looked those up. So I kind of have an idea of it.
What was the second one? I didn't even know what you said.
The second one was Suikoden 5.
Oh, okay. You can't know what
I'm
that
not
is.
familiar with that series really, but
Suikoden is a series that is well known for having a large playable cast, like in the hundreds of characters.
wow.
And they're actually remaking Suikoden 1 and 2 coming out next year, I think, which is cool because those are also expensive.
Yeah. Xenosaga Episode 3 is disgustingly expensive.
Yeah,
it is.
I was gonna go for that too. That's the only one I can.
Am I allowed
maybe
to
the
ask
next one.
what number in the Dot Hack series was Quarantine again?
I believe it was 4.
Okay. So I don't know what the actual price is for that, but I know that when I looked it up over the summer when we were talking about it, there were no individual eBay auctions for just Quarantine by itself, and it was only available with the other 3 games in the series for about $500 or so. So it's gotta be up there.
Yeah.
But also, like, Xenosaga Episode 3 was also just up there by itself.
Right. And I feel like I don't know. The
I feel
Xeno
like
series is getting
Xenosaga
a
is
lot of
probably
support right
seeing a
now.
resurgence in popularity due to the success of Xenoblade Chronicles
Right.
on Nintendo's.
Yes, that was exactly my point as well.
So I think I'm gonna go Dot Hack Quarantine Xenosaga Suikoden 5.
I'll
Mostly
agree
because
with
I
that.
know nothing about the Suikoden series or its like game console value.
Yeah, I'm gonna
All
go with
right.
that too.
You are correct.
Wow.
Yay!
Thanks.
Well, now you're really gonna hate it.
Yes.
So, Dot Hack Quarantine complete in box will set you back $325.97.
Wow.
Yeah.
Suddenly those auctions for like Dot Hack Infection Mutation Quarantine and the third one. Sorry, I forgot the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, suddenly those $500 auctions for the 4 games is a really good deal.
Yeah. I was gonna say something. I was like, oh no, that might throw a hint.
Yeah.
Xenosaga
That's-
3 complete in box is $250. I know that all too well because
Yeah.
I've been struggling with trying to find a copy of that for less.
I know you're trying to get all them Xenos.
I am. I'm close. I just need episodes 2 and 3 of Xenosagas, and I have them all.
You got the Xenoverse games.
The Dragon Ball Xenoverse.
I know they're not part of the Xeno series, but I mean, it fits the title.
It does. Oh, and then Suikoden 5 is $142.90 complete in box.
That's expensive for
Yeah.
it's
The
an
fifth
RPG
game
series
yeah.
I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that has something to do with it because it probably has a cult fan base like Earthbound does
Yep.
as a
Yeah.
cult.
Yeah, I mean, both Suikoden 1 and 2 are very, very much in that same price range as well. 3 and 4, not so much. I think Suikoden 4 was like, it was less than $100, but close to it. And then Suikoden 3, which it must not be as good as the other ones because it was like $30.
Yeah.
But loose copies of Dot Hack Quarantine are $212.29.
Disgusting.
Again, it's a disc-based game, so all you're getting is a bare disc for
Yeah.
that.
Whoa.
Does the seller
Xenosaga
even include like a jewel case to protect it in shipping?
Depends.
Oh gosh.
Xenosaga Episode 3 will put you back $167.95 for just the discs. And Suikoden 5 is $117.18 loose.
Just gonna say that makes me very sad about the Dot Hack game because like Dot Hack signed the anime accompaniment to the like PlayStation 2 Dot Hack game series. Is like one of my all-time favorite animes, and it just pains me that I can financially never collect those.
Well, here's the thing that really sucks about Dot Hack Quarantine and Xenosaga 3 in particular. They're both Bandai Namco games that Bandai Namco has just said that they don't want to put the effort into re-releasing on modern hardware, even though they just did Dot Hack GU, that entire trilogy, as a collection for modern consoles.
I don't care about GU because it's not Sign or Infection Mutation, the third one in Quarantine.
Third one is Outbreak.
Outbreak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, Bamco, just do it.
Yeah.
It's easy money.
I love that song.
Especially in the case of Xenosaga with all of the Blade hype going on right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Just do it. They're like, we don't think it would be profitable for us. It's like,
what do you mean?
bet. Bet.
Like, just riding the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 hype train, you could probably sell Xenosaga 1, 2, and 3 and get enough profit to actually finish episodes 4 and 5 like was originally intended.
4, 5, and 6.
Oh, that's right. It was a 6-parter.
Yeah. Takahashi wanted it to be a 6-piece story.
Yeah.
They cut him short at 3.
Like, you're just going to ride a money train doing it. What are you doing?
Yep.
Think about how many more Soul Calibur and Tekken games you could fund with that.
Yeah, or at least sell the rights to it back to Nintendo and Monolith Soft and let Monolith Soft develop a remaster in-house.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's move on to our final round, round 5. We're hopping on over to the Nintendo GameCube.
Thanks, I hate it.
I might actually know this one.
This is going to be bad.
Our theme for the GameCube is games that were ported to the GameCube from other consoles.
You monster. You did
this on purpose. They were ported or remastered or like that sort of thing, but they're games that existed previously on older consoles.
I bet Phantasy Star Online is going to be one of those, and I already hate you for it.
Your choices are Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, Resident Evil Code Veronica X, and Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2 Plus.
I hate you. I actually think PSO Episodes 1 and 2 Plus is going to be at the bottom, because that game has been hovering at $100 complete in box for as long as I have been aware of that game. Then we had, was it Metal Gear Solid, and what was the third one again? I'm sorry.
Resident Evil
Resident
Code
Evil.
Veronica X.
Right.
I'm thinking Metal Gear Solid would probably be lower on the list. Just because, I don't know. I feel like that's not the kind of game you'd go for on a GameCube. I don't know.
Twin Snakes was notably an enhanced version of Metal Gear Solid.
Okay.
Like, it's sort of an enhanced port because it features that the PlayStation probably couldn't have handled.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
the graphics were completely redone.
Yes.
Okay.
And it featured new cutscenes, which people like. The internet is kind of split as to whether or not the addition of the cutscenes was good or not. I liked them.
Yeah. Also, like, we got Psycho Mantis saying Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah, that's right.
God, I love Psycho Mantis. He's so good.
So good.
Yeah, I know who that is, and I have never played a Metal Gear Solid game in my life.
I see your mind is clear. You have nothing on it. My PlayStation collection's very limited, so I don't have a ton of Konami titles, but it did kind of feel bad that Psycho Mantis told me I had empty no thoughts because I don't have Konami games.
One of the best boss fights in gaming history.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it'll just never be topped.
Yeah. As much as I love PSO, I'm gonna put it at the bottom. And I don't know about the other two, because I feel like it could be a popularity contest.
Yeah.
Because, Metal Gear Solid is a very popular series, but also so is Resident Evil.
Right.
But also, I vaguely remember Code Veronica maybe not being the greatest.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. Because, like, Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes is a very good game. How good is Resident Evil?
I think I want to put Twin Snakes at the top and Code Veronica in the middle.
And Phantasy Star on the bottom. Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah. It's a very good game, and I know it's stupid valuable complete in box,
but not as
but
valuable.
I think the other two are more stupid valuable.
All right. Yeah, let's go with that order.
Okay, so your order was
I think the
Say that
order you
again?
listed them.
Twin Snakes, Code Veronica, episodes 1 and 2 plus.
okay.
Yep.
You're wrong.
Rats.
Wow.
So the actual order coming in at $160.25 complete in box. Number 1, Resident Evil Code Veronica X.
Ah.
Wow. I guess I
Number
misremembered.
2, at $155.76 complete in box, Phantasy Star Online episode 1 and 2 plus.
Oh man, it's gone up.
And that leaves Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes at $110.50 complete in box.
Wow.
They're all
Yeah.
stupid expensive.
Yeah.
I passed on that game in a display case at our local store for $50 so many times, and now it's over double that.
Oh, that feels bad.
Yeah. But things get weird when you take away the cases.
At least Metal Gear Solid shows up. Like, good luck
Yeah.
finding PSO in the wild.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Like-
things get really weird once you take the cases out of the equation. Because then, Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2 Plus is the most expensive at $95 loose.
I would absolutely believe that because of the GameCube homebrew scene.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that you can, like, through homebrew on the Wii using, like, Nintendo, you can still connect to online private servers for Phantasy Star Online.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I'm tempted to jailbreak one of my Wiis to do that.
Might as well do the free one.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've mentioned it a few times already on the podcast, but I've been playing Phantasy Star Online, the first one, for close to 20 years.
Yeah.
I think you even mentioned it earlier this podcast.
I believe so. But I have never really gotten to experience that game online. And I would like to take my level 120-something Huneural Vixen online and be able to collect some of the online exclusive weapons and whatnot. Maybe get a crew together for challenge mode. Unlock Crazy Tune, because that's cool, because it's a saber that's a flying V.
Nice.
You know, fun stuff like that. So
yeah, that'd be fun. So number 2, without the case, is Twin Snakes at $86.35.
wild.
And then Code Veronica X is the least expensive loose at $77.91.
Interesting.
It's so weird to me that
Yeah.
was fun. First off, that was fun.
Yeah, it actually was
it was-
kind of fun, even though it made me very mad in the process.
Yes. But
I hate that all
think,
of those games are that price.
I think what's so fascinating about it, and it was something I was already kind of aware of before I went into this, and that's why I kind of wanted to do it this way. But just like how different the values of something can be between a loose copy and its like complete in box copy.
Yeah,
Like not necessarily the price between like itself in a vacuum, but like between other games, how it can be like one game can be the most expensive complete in box game, but the least expensive loose game.
yeah.
Yeah. Before we switch off the GameCube completely, I'm curious, how much is the F-Zero game for the GameCube in case?
$75.54.
Thanks, I hate it.
Because it
But
used
also-
It's not much cheaper with just the disc too. It's $63.75 just the disc.
that game back when I looked for that game desperately and I could not find it on store shelves. But at the time, if I had gone online, it was like under $20.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
And I should mention also, maybe I should have mentioned this before we started the game, but all of these price averages were compiled via pricecharting.com. So what they do is they literally update every single day based on eBay sales and actual sold listings, not just completed listings and stuff, or like actual completed listings, not just sold listings. So they compile all these prices in this giant database, like literally everything. And it's not just games, it's trading cards, comics, sports cards, and just all sorts of stuff. So it's a really cool resource to kind of look into. And like if you're getting into retro game collecting for the first time and you don't really know how much to expect to pay for something, it's a really good resource to use for avoiding getting ripped off. And also they have a collection feature also, so you can add games to your collection as you buy them and keep track of it in real time. And they also have a wish list feature for games that you want to pick up and haven't yet, but that way you have it all in an easy, convenient place. Again, for the third time this episode, we shouted something out. Not sponsored, just it's a cool resource that I really enjoy using. Anyway, let's bounce on over to our weekly Link to the Past as we wrap things up here for this episode today. So, usually we do this on the date of recording, but October 16 didn't really have much going on. So, you get a special on the release date of this podcast, October 18, released 17 years ago, Shadow of the Colossus for the PlayStation 2. That's a pretty big one.
Oh yeah,
And
I loved
Knuckles.
this game.
Shadow of the Colossus and Knuckles.
And Knuckles.
And Knuckles. Yeah, because Sonic and Knuckles also released on that day. Not the
I
same
love
day
that
as Shadow
game
of the
too.
Colossus, but I mean,
But we couldn't resist making the joke.
couldn't resist making the joke. It was right there, okay?
It's pre-made for us.
Sonic of the Colossus and Knuckles.
Sounds like a Weird Dolly generation.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shadow of the Colossus, I only ever played the demo for it on a PlayStation 2 demo disc I had. And it was interesting, but just on the PS2, it didn't really grip me that much just because everything was really, really cloudy and
Yeah.
gray.
It's
And it just
very
didn't
gray.
look good. So,
Yeah. Well, the animation is actually really good. That is probably still the best animated horse in a video game. Straight up, like most realistic.
I don't know. You haven't played Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, okay. Red Dead might have topped it.
The most realistic until Red Dead 2. We'll give you
Yeah,
that.
definitely.
We'll give you that one.
And considering that's a current gen game or PS4, I guess, and this was on the
this is
PS2.
PlayStation 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Took them a while.
Yeah. I forgot that they remade this for the PlayStation 4 back in 2018.
Yeah.
So I've heard nothing but fantastic things about this game, so I definitely do want to pick up the remake and check it out. But
Don't get the
yeah,
story spoiled for you. It's got a great ending.
yeah, somehow, you know what? I've probably had it spoiled for me in the past, but like just I wouldn't be able to tell now. So it's like that much out of my memory that like I'll probably know it when I see it as I play.
Right.
But
you might get
as of
an inkling
as of
what
right
it's going
now,
to be.
I have no idea. So
Yeah.
I'd be basically going into it blind. But yeah, 17 years ago. This entire episode has made us feel old. And then there's this.
Yeah.
2005. That was the year I had my back surgery. Just like a month and a half after this game came out, I was having back surgery for scoliosis. That's wild how much time has gone by.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But is that the episode? Did
That's
we
the
do it?
episode. We did it.
All right. So
Congrats.
that is the end of episode 15. So to the listeners, what are your thoughts on game collecting? Do you got a specific item or two you'd like to share? We would love to hear from you. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can drop a comment down below and let us know, or you can email the podcast directly at fans.togp@gmail.com and let us know. And ask any other questions you may have while you're at it, and we may read and respond on a future episode. But anyway, Lucas, where can people find you outside the podcast?
You can find me on YouTube at Carnival9, That One Gaming Podcast. I upload long plays of our That One Game episode games. Got past hits such as Super Metroid and Sonic 3 and Knuckles and Pokemon Gold and Silver. And if you look carefully enough, you might find our next episode.
It might be a game that we named a segment of our podcast after.
It definitely
Okay,
might.
you're just gonna spoil it. All right.
It is
Gotta get that hype train started early.
that one game main topic. You can also find me on Twitter at Karn_evil_999. I mostly just retweet nonsense. But also like podcast relevant stuff like gaming articles and neat stuff that Colin does with their Steam Deck.
Yes.
Yeah. What about Neal? Where are we finding you?
Well, to continue the Twitter, I am at IamVMK89 on Twitter. I also mostly just like random things and retweet. Occasionally friends, but you can also find me posting about Twitch when I go live on Twitch, which is the main thing I do on Twitter, which is twitch.tv/VMK9, where I do
Twitchster.
weekly... What?
Twitchster.
Twitchster.
Twitter. Twitch.
Twitter.
Twitchster.
Twitchster? I don't know.
Twitchster.
That doesn't quite work. It doesn't roll off the tongue.
No, it doesn't. It's awful. It's painful to say.
Nobody grabbed that URL. Nobody wants to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I stream weekly on Twitch, Minecraft Mondays. We play Minecraft on my own personal server with a bunch of friends from the Round Stump Discord. You can find links to that Discord in my Twitch TV About page. And I'm also on YouTube at youtube.com/VMK9, but I don't post there right now. And I'm sad.
Post there, Neal. Post
Yeah, I should.
there.
I really should.
Just take your VODs from Twitch because they get deleted after a time anyway, and then just upload them to YouTube.
Yeah, I just would like to edit them.
Don't even worry about editing it. Just throw them up there. Anyway.
Preservation.
Except this is
It's
100%
important.
digital.
Yeah. Anyway, if you are watching/listening to this on YouTube, you're already in the right place. You can find me at youtube.com/deliciousmorsels. I'm also on Twitter at deliciousmorsel. And also, I just wanted to shout out because Lucas reminded me talking about That One Game stuff. You can find all of the music that I cover for our That One Game episodes on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you stream your music. The music from the Pokemon episode finally went live recently. I did a little bit of a switcheroo with my distribution service that I use, so I've had to re-upload everything. The Sonic soundtrack is coming. It's taking a little bit of extra time to secure the licenses because that soundtrack sucks for that. But if you want to hear about why it sucks, you can go listen to our Sonic the Hedgehog That One Game, or our Sonic 3 and Knuckles That One Game episode. But yeah, that's it. That is the episode. So, as always, if you liked what you heard here today, please be sure to hit the subscribe button where that's an option. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts because I hear they like that stuff. Hit the like button if that's a thing, and feel free to share this episode with a friend. We'll be back in a couple weeks with another episode, but until then, have a wonderful rest of your day, and remember...
Play for the cows.
Stay for the Bears.